Hello friends, welcome to FoxuTech. So today we're gonna see another topic from Argo CD, which is nothing but Argo CD sync phases and waves. So in last video we have seen about options, and in that we have seen how we can sync the application with our Git repositories, and also we have seen what all the additional action Argo CD can perform along with the sync, right? So with that, we're going to see the next level. It's a sync phases and waves. So why or what is sync phases or waves, or where it will be useful? So let's see that, right? Okay, so let's begin with sync phases. So sync phases is nothing but in Argo CD by default, it provides three sync phases. Okay. Before that, before we see what are the phases, let's see that why the phases are important. Okay, so in sync option we have seen, so whenever we just sync, it's just sync all the files in our repositories, right? So let's assume you have a scenario, so you no need to or you want to follow some proper order to sync your application. So we have a selective syncs, so we can check one by one and we can do that. But even though that will be a tedious job for us, right? We have to do manually every time, and that is not the scope of Argo CD. It has to be automated most of the way, correct? So with the sync phases, what it's allow us, so it gives a sequence to run, what all the manifest should be run, on which sequence or which order it should be run. Okay, so for that you can use, there is a phases. So the phases is nothing but your hook, we call it as that, are pre-sync. So first is a pre-sync, second is a sync, and third is a post-sync. So with the name you may guess, so before we click a sync or something, or before any kind of action performed by a sync, there should be some action need to be performed other end, correct? So what are the things? Let's assume like you are doing any kind of DB migration or upgrade or anything, right? So there will be a pre-step has to be done. So when you are performing that, let's assume without these phases, we have to do the prerequisites or something. So we have to run first, then it has to go to the Argo CD, you have to run it, and once the Argo CD is done the work, you may need to do the post upgrade or post deployment status. So why we have to do that ourselves? Let's Argo CD itself perform those actions, right? So that's what Argo CD has the feature. First is a pre-sync, right? So with the pre-syncs, what it does, it will just do what all the action has to be done before it applies the actual manifest. It do that. So kind of like DB schema migrations or any kind of pre-hook, it has to be done. Okay, so any kind of such a jobs need to be done. So that will be triggered from that, right? So next, once the pre-sync is done, then it comes to the sync phase. In the sync phase, what it does, it applies the manifest. Here we have a manifest. So let's assume like a deployment or service or pods or ingress or network policy, namespace creation, any kind of a manifest will be applied in this status. Okay. So next example is post sync. Always we have in Jenkins or CI/CD pipeline, we may have seen that. So once our deployment or build is done, so we need to be get notified, right? So the notification can send to Slack, or it can be a mail, or it can be a Teams channel. Nowadays Teams are mostly used. So either one of the notification has to trigger, right? So that these all the action can be performed with the phases again. So in that, one more thing you should understand. So when it's coming to the syncs, so every stage or phases are most important. Until the first stage completes, the second stage won't trigger. Okay, so you can just put a sync and it always expects the first pre-sync is successfully completed, then only the sync will happen. Same way, even the sync is happening, it has to be completed successfully and healthy. Once everything is good, then only the post sync will be triggered. So with that, what we can do, we are just avoiding the manual work. So we don't need to do any pre-action and post actions. Let Argo CD take us, and we have to keep it everything on our Git repositories. That's our code, correct? Okay. So how we can use that? So you can use this by defining the annotation. So the annotation is nothing but Argo CD, Argo Proj IO, and hook, right? So then it will be look like this when you define it. So this is the, let's say you have a job to perform before the actual manifest applies. The job will be triggered and this will take as the action. Then it's performed the next one. Please be noted, hook doesn't run during the selective syncs. Why? Because selective syncs mainly made for the particular manifest, right? Let's assume like a 4 or 5 manifest only need to be run altogether. That time it's useful. So in that case, obviously there is no use case. Okay. Next. So there is a hooks. So we have seen 1 or 2 hooks, and there is a total 5 hooks are there. Okay. What are the 5 hooks? Pre-sync, sync, skip, post-sync, sync fail. With the name, you can easily identify pre-sync runs before any kind of a manifest to be applied. Sync will be the actual manifest to be applied. Skip is nothing but if something you want to skip, like let's apply you have 10 files. After that, 2 files is not need to be applied or no need to do any actions. You are just keeping it for your reference, right? So those files you can to skip. So for skipping, you can use the hook as hook skip. Okay. Post sync, I have done my deployment. I need to notify to the user, or I need to trigger another job or something, or Jenkins hook or something, for performance test or something you can perform with this post sync option. You can just trigger the API calls from your manifest. So that will be done. So next is sync fail. Even you can put a condition if there is a sync got fail, what action I should perform it. Okay. So these are the hooks available on the Argo CD. Okay. So then, so also there is a certain things as we discussing about the phases and the hook. So some of the options no need to be there when there is a pre-request is done. So let's assume like you are doing any kind of a pre-sync. So that is just a one-time work, right? You don't need to be there. So you may need for DB schema, but I'm telling like a something notification or some banner announcement, something, it's not need to be there for a long time, correct? So those kind of jobs, you can just use this delete policy to delete that. You don't need to see it in the Argo CD for a long time, okay? So what are the options we can and how this policy works? Even in the policies, there is certain values which there, and with that we can see that what happens. So there is a 3 options. If the hook is succeeded, it will be completing, it will deleted, and hook is failed. Even the hook is failed or the particular manifest has failed, so you can delete that particular resource. So before hook creation, so again this like a, if the existing hook deleted, so this will be reapplied and reused. Okay, so these are the options on delete policies available. So hope the phases are clear now. So let's jump into the next topic part of this tutorial. So which is nothing but sync waves. Okay. So again, there is additional feature I can say. So we have drilled down like we had a sync options. We found a way how we can segregate that and we can align it or sequence it with a pre-sync, sync and post-sync. But again, let's assume like you are having a only one post-sync or post pre-sync or even in the sync. That is good, right? So no need to think much. But let's assume you have a more than one pre-sync need to be performed. So you need to say, but even in that pre-sync, I have 2 pre-syncs again. And even that has to be run sequence. How we can achieve it? So we have a trick part here, right? So even those sync has to be go 1, 2, 3 like that. Okay. For that, the sync wave come to the page, and this will be helpful to align that. What are the action we have to do it? So we can see we have seen this phases, and we know that each phase has to complete successfully, correct and healthy. So next, when FreeSync is coming, so you can see in the FreeSync, there is a data space schema migration, or let's assume even in the database migration, you have more than one table has to be done. The table has to be properly aligned. Otherwise, what happens? Your database maybe get corrupt or there will be an issue happens. Correct? So with that keeping in the mind, what you can do, you can create a jobs to perform one by one job. Okay. So you can put a wave equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So with that, what happens? Obviously, the sync wave will be checked. The wave will be aligned with, okay, 0 is first I have to run. 1 is, so Argo CD detects the lower number. The lower number will be run first. So when you have a table 1 has to be run, table 1 should have a wave 0. Table 2, wave 1. Table 5, wave 4. Like that, you can give the number. It doesn't mean you should start 0. You can start with the 1, or you can start with the -1 or minus any numbers. With that, it will check what all the waves are available and it identify which is the lower number, and that one will be triggered first, right? So same way, so with the pre-syncs, let's assume like a database scheme. Again, so there is a very much important thing like you have a sync option, okay? So in the sync, what we are doing mostly, it will be like applying your application manifest. So there it has to be again aligned. So what kind of alignment it does? Config map or the backend or front end or any kind of actions, correct? So now let's assume you are again putting a sync with different order, okay? So in my case, I'm putting a config map is first, then it should be succeeded or healthy, then it should go to the backend deployment. So I have a backend, then it should go for 1, so next one. So once the backend is up and ready, then the front end has to be deployed and that has to be go. So here you can see I have sequenced with the number 0, 1, 2, correct? So in this manner, what happens whenever the sync action, when the pre-sync is completed successfully and healthy, then it comes to the sync. In the sync, it's first to do the config map sync, then it goes to backend, then it goes to front end. Okay. So now, so once all this done, again as usual, so we have seen the Slack notification. Each will be considered as each layer, one by one layer, it has to be complete. So you can see again this number sequence will be changed and it will be applied. Okay. So what we seen about sync wave? Sync wave is just a way to order the applies the manifest. And also the by default, if you are not giving any numbers or any waves, or even without we are configuring a phase or waves, so by default it will be there as a 0. Okay, so that's what we see, everything starts together rather one by one, correct? So next, so you can set this using sync wave, again the annotation, so it will be deployed and you can define, you can give a negative or positive, doesn't matter. So you can apply with the whatever the numbers. So always what happens if you even you are giving a -1000 and there is a -1001. So 1001 will -1001 will be started because that is a lower number with -1000. Correct? With that my order, it picks and it runs. And in case, let's assume like you know you very well about your application, and sometimes the particular stage may need more time. So by default, Argo CD has 2 seconds as a delay. So let's assume like you want to wait for a little longer for your application. So what you can do? So the particular wave whenever defining, so you can use this value customize delay to some other number. So you should know about your application, how long it takes. Based on that, you have to change these values. Okay. So this is how it's look like, metadata annotation, and the way will be look like, and 5 is the number of wave. Right. So now we understand this, and let's assume you have to understand another thing. By default, okay, it's just not covered for this particular topic, but here it's aligned. But whenever you are doing a sync, you should understand what order it speaks. Okay, so by default, Argo CD, if you are not defining any kind of a phases, first it check the phase. Is it a pre-sync or post-sync? Once it identified which phase, Then it's check, is there any wave defined? Okay. In the wave, again it's check if there is a only one wave is available or more than one. So if it's identified more than one, then it's check the numbers, which wave is lower number. That one will be picked first. Okay. So lower number, let's say like you have 0 and 1. So 0 will be picked first, then it goes to 1. Okay. So next, so now the phase is identified, and in that phase there is a wave is identified. Let's assume you are not defined any kind of a waves. Okay. So what happens? So it's identify the phase, and the next it's check what it's check, right? So we should understand that also. By default, Argo CD runs with the kinds, and the kinds are nothing but namespace, config, map, secrets, ABC. So that has been even that as a proper manner, or there is a step has to be followed. What are the steps it follows? First namespace, network policy, request quota, limit range, port security policy, as on like that. So let me show you the repository here for your reference. So with that, you can understand what is the order it follows. You can see there is a order. First, it starts from namespace, and then it goes all together, and the last it picks the API service. So this is the man order it follows. If you are forgot to mention the waves, then by default Argo CD picks any kind of a configuration you give. Again, it will be a starting point. It picks automatically. You may see in the sync, but this is the order it picks up. And even that is done, and even if you have a completely different aspects, so then name also will be picked and it will be synced. Okay. So with that, I hope this you understand what is a phase and what is a waves and how we can use it. But let's see it in the real demo. So with the demo, I hope you should be able to understand how it happens, right? So there is a two demo we're gonna see. One is the demo one and with the sync phases, and demo two will be with the sync phase. So what we're gonna see it in the sync phases. So we're gonna create a job which with a free sync, and that should be deleted once the particular phase is completed. Okay. So next we're gonna create another job with the phase, and this job should be deleted again if there is a new resource has been created. So with the post sync, if it's a fails, it has to be deleted. And also we're gonna try how the skip is works. Okay. So this is a one. So let's jump into let's take a look on the repository first. So if you go to our Kubernetes repositories, and in that we have a folder called Argo CD. So in that I have placed the manifest for your reference, phase and waves and options we seen in the last video. So in the phase, as we gonna see phases, let's see that what is a manifest does. So here you can see with the name we have created the manifest. So let's see one by one. So first one is pre-sync job. In the pre-sync job, so you can see this is what it's defined. The annotation has been declared and the hook is pre-sync, and we have mentioned as we see in the rule, if there is a free sync is created, it has to be deleted. Okay, so this is what we did. Delete policy also we have defined. Same way. So first is free sync, next is a sync job. In the sync job, you can see the hook has been defined as sync. Okay. So now the third one is a post hook. So you can post hook, and also delete policy has been mentioned. If there is a failure, so it has to be deleted. So it's not going to do because why? Because so this is already in a synced state, right? Right. So now we have seen also, right, there is a fifth one I missed, skip job. You can see the skip is declared in the hook, and this is available here, right? So let me show you that. So let's log into the box. So let's see these files available on the Argo CD. Argo CD Sync. So we have these files here. I'm gonna show you here with the free command. We can see all the files are available here or not. So we know the files are here. So well and good. So let's open an application called sync phase. So in the sync phase, you can see what I have defined. So okay, sorry. Yeah. So with the sync phase, we have defined what is available here. So which repo we are referring, and with the repository, whatever we given, so which path it has to be referred. Okay. So let's log into our Argo CD first. So for that, how we can check? So kubectl get services -n Argo CD. Okay. Well, right. So this is our server, and with the server we can log into this with the login. So if you are not installed Argo CD, you can follow our previous blogs where we have demonstrated how to install and how to install. You can even read it on the FoxuTech blog, and also what are the other action we have performed so far. You can review it. Okay. So you can quickly check what all the application is available at this moment. Argo CD. Okay, so I have already, there is a 2 application. I'm gonna clean those things. So as we're gonna create it freshly. So this is, we have created for some other demo for other vendors. So let's delete that. I'm gonna clean it up. So when you check, it has to be, it should go off. Okay. All right, so let's go to the UI and see there is no application, and even the UI, in the UI we gonna check what is there. So in the UI also there is nothing has been there at this moment, correct? So now what we gonna do? So in this file, so we're gonna apply this. How to apply this? kubectl apply nav sync phase. So the application has been created. So it should be coming up shortly, or we can just refresh. Okay, there is something. Let me refresh my window further. Oh, sorry, I missed the namespace. Sorry for that. So now it should be coming automatically. So you can see it's automated sync is enabled, and you can see it. Let me zoom out for you. So you can see there is just skipping is referenced and there is nothing. Let's quickly sync and see what action it does. So sync, and you should see the order. Resync has been picked first, and you can see the jobs here. So live manifest, it has a resync has been enabled. Okay. So this is running pre-sync first. Once a pre-sync is done, it has to be started with the sync, then it goes to the post-sync, correct? So you can see first is pre-sync is done. So next sync is started. You can see the next sync is up and running. So it takes 20 seconds. Let's wait for it. And once the pre-sync is, sync is done, it's going to start the post-sync. But the skipping one, it's not going to start because as we given a condition, it should not, correct? You can see once this complete the healthy state, then only it's starting the next phase. That is what we seen, right? Every phase should be completed successfully and it should be synced properly. So then only it will trigger the next phase, correct? So once the phase has been completed, you should see the pre-sync will be disappeared. Why? Because we have defined all the cookies completed, it has to be deleted with the delete policy. You can ask why the post-sync is not deleted, because post-sync we have not told to delete when there is a success, right? We told if there is any failure, then you delete this post-sync. If there is no failure, you stay alive. Right? So hope this is helpful and understand. So we have seen all which has been defined, right? All right. So what we're gonna do now? So quickly, let's see what we are going to see it on the delete. Waves, right? So in the waves, what we're gonna do in the demo 2? So we're gonna create a one job with a pre-sync with a wave 0 and another one with a 1. And then we're going to create a replica set and services in the sync phase and wave 0. Next, another one will be sync phase, same sync phase. We're going to create one more page. It will be like a wave 1. And then once that is done, so we're going to create another one with a wave 2 with a frontline replica set and service. And at last, once everything is done with the wave 3, we're going to create a final stage, that is nothing but the whatever page we bring in, so that will be goes down. Okay, so for that, let's go through the manifest first. Okay, so let me open a waves folder and the manifest file. Sorry, it's a Vim and manifest. All right, so let's jump into the top of the page. You can see, as we said, we're going to create a pre-sync with a wave 0 and another pre-sync with wave 1. This is the rule we have followed. Then what we are telling, so we are going for the replica set with the backend. We are creating a 2 jobs, replica set and service. Then we are coming to the job with starting a sync hook and then with the delete policy before creation 1. And also we are introducing the waves here with the 1. So next we are starting just wave 2 here with the sync wave, and then 2 jobs we are starting parallelly. You can give the same numbers, there is no restriction. And then once it's done, we are starting a sync wave 3, and in this we are starting again, there is one more sync with the delete policy. Okay, so let's apply that and understand how it runs, right? So I'm going to use the same kubectl apply command. So I have created the application already. I will show you shortly before let's get sync. Okay, so the file has been created. So the file will be, there is nothing. Okay, so as we've seen a lot of times similar, only the path will be changed as we are trying your waves here, right? Capacity is same and waves and application and names by default, everything is same. Okay, so let's go to our Argo CD and see what it's done, right? So let's go. This is in a previous application. Oh, this is the new one, and we're gonna see that. And you can see there is a job, it's been triggered and it's following one by one, right? So let's go to the app details and events. Okay, so this is the action it's performed. So there was out of sync and it's triggered everything and it's came, right? So one second, sync status. Okay, so let's understand the sync status first. This is the order it has been followed. What is the order it's followed? First thing, it's been created the policy schema 1 with the pre-sync and web 0. Then it's completed the next phase, wave 1, once both is done. So you may ask one more question to me. So as there is no wave has been defined for the manifest replica set and services on backend applications, correct? You can see it now. So there is no sync or no wave, nothing has been defined here, right? So how this has been picked? As we said earlier, by default, Argo CD considers if there is nothing you define, that doesn't mean it's on the wave 0, and also it's in a sync status. Okay, that's why you see the order has been followed here. Pre-sync, next is a pre-sync. As we are not defined here, that is called 0, right? But you can see the other manifest, we have given 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1 for the wave one, the job which is doing a maintenance page up, and wave 2 for the front end, and wave 3 for the job to bring the maintenance page down, correct? Obviously there is no 0, so that doesn't mean it's not trigger that. it means you are not even defining anything, that will be considered as a 0. Okay, so that is 0. Next is a 1, which is nothing but maintenance pages up and sync. Again, there is a front end has been came here. We didn't give on the hook here, so that way you can see the hook here. But as we given the wave as 1, so you can see it's followed the proper order. Service came up and replica set it started together and came up. And then there is a fifth one is like a bring that down, it's down with the wave 3. Correct? So this is how the action has been followed here. And so even if you make any kind of a change, even if you sync, it will be like this. So I'm just refreshing. Okay, so you can see there is a replica, right? So what I'm going to do, I will show you one more thing. So let me go to the waves folder. Let's see that what happens, right? So I'm going here. So I'm going to replica as we have seen the backend as 5. I'm going to reduce to certain some number is like 3. Okay. So 3 I'm going to reduce as the, let's assume we don't have any load and we are reducing a replicas, and as it's automatic is there, so it's going to pick this and it's going to sync it. So let me refresh it quickly and let's see that what it does. So you can see sync has been picked and you could see the actions here. So the schema has been followed first, next schema has been followed next, and then it's bring the backend, right? So it follows again the sequence. The sequence is now it's followed the manifest of that replica set has been reduced. Then the front end and maintenance page still it's running, right? You can see maintenance page is up, and then front end will be quickly synced. Once the front end is synced quickly, then maintenance page has been down and it's refreshed the things. Correct? You can see all the jobs will be triggered in. You can again check the sync status and you can understand what has done now. Okay. This is the order it's been followed and this is how it will be looks like. So even in your project, if you want to have a proper order has to be followed for some cases, you can make use of these waves and the phases. So with that, it will be easy for you to handle your sequence of the application deployment. And please be consider this also. If you have more than hundreds of files, right, or more than 50 files, if you put a sequence, it's going to take a lot of time. But Kubernetes is meant to be completed quickly. So keep that in the mind, and keep that in the your record and please plan accordingly. Okay, so otherwise if you say like I have 100 files and my 100th file is my actual application up, before that 99 job has to be done one by one. So one job is taking let's assume 2 seconds or 2 minutes or 1 minute. So we're gonna bring our application down for 99 minutes, right? If it's a one minute, if it's a seconds, it's well and good. But if there is anything takes more than a minute, it's going to delay our application to become up, right? So plan accordingly and make use of such a features available on Argo CD. So that should help you to do any kind of best deployment using Argo CD in the GitOps manner. So we are not doing anything manual here. So we are creating application. That's only thing. Rest all will be taken care completely. Whatever we are making on Git only, right? We are not doing any kind of in between. There is no layers. There is no CI. There is no CDR. There is no any kind of intermediate tools we can follow. Again, please make sure you have other practice also followed, like a security scan or anything. But even though you can just manage with this, right? Hope this is helpful, guys. Thanks for your time. So if you like, please hit the like. Please share with your friends, or if anyone is looking to learn about Argo CD and what are the options available. And this may be helpful any one of them. So please share it in your network. That should be helpful for everyone. And keep support us. keep watching us, and we'll be come with another interesting topic in very soon. And stay tuned. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.